Every day, nearly 20% of the world's oil supply moves through a narrow corridor in the Middle East. That corridor is the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most valuable shipping lanes on Earth. On busy days, the oil moving through this waterway carries economic value reaching hundreds of billions of dollars. If this channel suddenly closes, the shock would ripple through every financial market on the planet. Oil traders in New York, London, and Singapore watch this narrow passage like a heartbeat monitor. Even rumors of danger here can send global energy prices surging within minutes. This is not just a geopolitical flashpoint between powerful nations. It is one of the most dangerous financial pressure valves in the global economy. And for decades, every crisis here has threatened to shake the foundations of the world's financial system. To understand why, we must first understand how this tiny waterway became the center of global energy trade. The Strait of Hormuz connects the Persian Gulf to the open ocean and the rest of the global economy. Nearly every barrel of oil exported from the Gulf must pass through this narrow corridor. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates rely on this route every day. Without it, their oil cannot easily reach Asia, Europe, or North America. More than 20 million barrels of oil pass through these waters every single day. That amount represents nearly 1/5 of global petroleum consumption. Natural gas shipments also move through this corridor from Qatar, one of the world's largest exporters. Energy flowing here powers factories, airplanes, and cities around the globe. Energy organizations like the International Energy Agency track traffic here constantly, because disruptions in this passage can send shockwaves through global supply chains. Oil traders understand something simple but powerful about markets. Prices react not only to supply, but also to fear. And few places on Earth generate more fear in the oil market than this narrow strip of water, because history has proven just how dangerous it can become. In the 1980s, this region became the center of one of the most dangerous maritime conflicts in modern history. The conflict was known as the Tanker War. During the brutal Iran-Iraq War, both nations targeted oil tankers. The goal was simple: cripple the enemy's economy. More than 400 commercial ships were attacked during the conflict. Insurance markets in London and New York suddenly faced enormous risk. The financial consequences were immediate and dramatic. Insurance costs for tankers skyrocketed almost overnight. Oil companies suddenly paid enormous premiums to move their cargo through the region. And every added dollar pushed global energy prices higher. The crisis forced the United States Navy to intervene in the world's oil lifeline. Washington launched one of the largest escort missions since World War II. In 1987, the United States launched Operation Earnest Will to protect oil shipments. American warships began escorting tankers through the Strait of Hormuz under constant threat. Some Kuwaiti oil tankers were even reflagged under the American flag for protection. That move allowed the United States Navy to legally escort them through the war zone. The financial stakes behind these convoys were enormous. Every tanker carried oil worth tens of millions of dollars to the global market. But even powerful naval escorts could not eliminate the danger entirely. In July 1987, a tanker struck an Iranian naval mine in the strait. The attack demonstrated how fragile the global oil lifeline truly was. Even a single explosive device could threaten billions of dollars in energy trade. For financial markets, these events were more than military incidents. They were signals that global oil supply could suddenly become unstable. When risk rises in the Strait of Hormuz, oil traders react immediately. Prices in global energy markets can spike within hours. Shipping companies also begin calculating the cost of danger, because every voyage through the strait must now include insurance risk. That calculation leads directly to one of the most powerful financial forces in global shipping: The insurance markets of London. When tensions rise here, insurers can declare the region a war risk zone. And that single decision can multiply shipping costs overnight. The most famous insurance marketplace behind these decisions is Lloyd's of London. For centuries, Lloyd's has insured ships sailing into dangerous waters. And when Lloyd's labels a shipping route dangerous, the financial consequences spread quickly. Because the first industry to panic in a crisis here is not oil, but insurance. When geopolitical tension rises in the Strait of Hormuz, the first alarm bell rings in the insurance industry. Shipping companies immediately check whether their tankers are still financially protected. The most influential player in maritime insurance is Lloyd's of London. For more than 3 centuries, Lloyd's has insured ships sailing through dangerous waters. When conflict risk increases, Lloyd's can classify an area as a maritime war risk zone. That label instantly changes the economics of global shipping. Insurance premiums for a single tanker voyage can jump by hundreds of thousands of dollars. That cost quickly spreads across the global energy supply chain. A voyage that normally costs $30,000 to insure can suddenly exceed $300,000. Those costs eventually appear in fuel prices paid by drivers worldwide. Insurance shocks are often the first financial signal of a brewing crisis. But sometimes the crisis arrives in a far more dramatic way. In recent years, tensions between Iran and the United States have repeatedly escalated here. The narrow waterway has become a stage for dangerous naval confrontations. One of the most powerful figures shaping these tensions was Qasem Soleimani. As commander of Iran's regional military operations, he influenced strategy across the Persian Gulf. Soleimani led the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps' elite Quds force. The organization often operated close to the strategic waters of the strait. Across the water, American naval forces also maintained a constant presence. Their mission was to protect global energy shipping routes. The U.S. Navy unit responsible for these patrols is the United States Fifth Fleet. Its warships regularly escort tankers through the region. These military patrols exist for a simple reason. History shows how quickly commercial ships can become targets during political crises. In 2019, the Strait of Hormuz once again became the center of global attention. Several commercial tankers were mysteriously attacked in nearby waters. Investigators and governments quickly blamed rising tensions between Iran and the United States. Financial markets reacted immediately to the uncertainty. That same year, Iranian forces seized the British tanker Stena Impero. The dramatic capture shocked global shipping companies. Within hours, oil traders around the world began adjusting their expectations. Markets feared that tanker traffic might soon be disrupted. Moments like these remind investors just how fragile global energy transport can be. A single political incident can ripple through the entire financial system. Oil traders from New York to Singapore monitor the Strait of Hormuz constantly, because even rumors of disruption can trigger immediate market reactions. In January 2020, tensions reached a dangerous peak. The United States killed Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani in a drone strike. The strike was ordered by Donald Trump. Financial markets immediately feared retaliation in the Strait of Hormuz. Oil prices jumped sharply during the days following the strike. Energy markets feared that tanker traffic might be disrupted. Later administrations under Joe Biden continued monitoring the region closely, because any crisis here can destabilize global energy markets. Every patrol boat, every convoy, and every diplomatic warning carries financial implications. The Strait of Hormuz is where geopolitics meets global finance. And when tensions rise, traders prepare for something else entirely: volatility across the global financial markets. Energy traders understand that the Strait of Hormuz is more than a shipping lane. It is one of the most sensitive pressure points in the global economy. Every military patrol boat and escort ship sends signals to investors watching energy markets. Those signals can move billions of dollars within minutes. Oil prices often spike even before any real disruption occurs. Fear alone can trigger dramatic reactions across global financial markets. This is because modern oil trading operates on expectations rather than just physical supply. A rumor in the Persian Gulf can move markets in London and New York instantly. Energy companies such as Saudi Aramco depend heavily on this route. Without the strait, much of the world's oil exports would struggle to reach international markets. That vulnerability is why global investors watch this waterway so closely. Because if the Strait of Hormuz ever closes, the consequences could shake the entire world economy. When traders fear disruption in the Strait of Hormuz, the first reaction appears in oil markets. Energy prices begin rising as traders anticipate possible shortages. Oil futures traders in London and New York respond within minutes to new risks. Their decisions can move global energy prices before ships even reach port. Companies such as Saudi Aramco depend heavily on this route. Millions of barrels of their crude oil travel through the strait each day. When oil prices surge, entire industries begin calculating the cost. Airlines, shipping companies, and manufacturers feel the impact immediately. A sudden spike in oil prices can ripple across the entire global economy. Fuel costs influence transportation, manufacturing, and even food prices. History has shown how powerful these oil shocks can become. Some of the largest economic crises in modern history began with energy disruptions. In 1973, the global economy experienced a dramatic energy shock. The event became known as the 1973 oil crisis. Oil supplies were restricted during the embargo against Western countries. Energy prices quadrupled, sending shockwaves through financial markets. Another surge arrived during the Gulf War when Iraq invaded Kuwait. Oil markets reacted instantly to fears of disrupted supply. Even rumors of conflict in the Persian Gulf pushed oil prices sharply higher. Investors feared that the strait could become a battlefield. These historical crises reveal a simple financial truth. Energy markets are extremely sensitive to geopolitical risk. And few places on Earth create more geopolitical risk than the Strait of Hormuz. Its narrow channel concentrates enormous economic value in a tiny space. Now imagine the unthinkable scenario. The Strait of Hormuz suddenly becomes completely blocked. Immediately, dozens of tankers would be unable to reach global markets. Energy supply chains would freeze almost overnight. Oil prices could surge 20 to 40% within days. Financial markets around the world would react instantly. Shipping companies would suspend voyages through the dangerous corridor. Insurance companies might refuse coverage for tankers entering the region. Airlines would soon face rising jet fuel costs around the world. Manufacturers would struggle with higher transportation expenses. Within weeks, the economic impact could spread across global industries. Markets might begin fearing a worldwide recession. The Strait of Hormuz may appear small on a global map, but its influence on finance and energy markets is enormous. Every tanker passing through carries millions of dollars in energy resources. And each voyage keeps the global economy moving forward. This narrow channel connects the energy wealth of the Middle East to the world. Without it, global supply chains would struggle to function. Investors understand the power held by this tiny waterway. That is why financial markets monitor it constantly. Every political tension here sends signals across global markets. Those signals influence oil prices, currencies, and stocks. Because sometimes the greatest forces in finance are not found in banks. They are hidden in geography. The Strait of Hormuz remains one of the world's most strategic economic choke points, and its future continues to shape global markets. Whenever tensions rise here, traders and investors hold their breath, because the consequences could be enormous. A 21-mile-wide waterway carries the lifeblood of modern industry, and the world economy depends on its stability. If this passage ever closes, the financial shock could be immediate. Energy markets would react before the first ships even turn back. That is why this small waterway commands the attention of governments and investors alike. Its stability influences the price of energy everywhere. The Strait of Hormuz is not just a geographic passage. It is a financial tripwire for the entire global economy.